Published 0914 EDT, the 11th of August 2017. Updated 0914 EDT, the 11th of August 2017. When it comes to fantasy football, the decisions a player makes prior to the season starting can have repercussions for the rest of the campaign. And it is important to sign up players you can rely on for a full 38-game season, ones that will not let you down by picking up injury after injury or a long-term suspension. Sportsmail has taken a look at the players worth avoiding when putting together your fantasy football team for the Mailonline game. Injury-prone player Santi Cazorla, the Arsenal midfielder, is a creative talent who can usually be relied on for assists. Unfortunately, Santi Cazorla was hit with an injury last season and developed the Arsenal injury curse. Weeks turned into months and it is now not clear when he will next play football. With just 23 league games for the 32-year-old over the last two campaigns, it is not worth investing money on the Spanish star. Santi Cazorla has spent too long on the sidelines to be part of your fantasy football team. Daniel Sturridge. There is absolutely no doubt that, on his day, Daniel Sturridge is one of the most fearsome goalscorers in the Premier League. But if there was a moment to symbolize his frailty, it was his wonderful goal against Bayern Munich. He injured himself in the process. The 27-year-old has been relatively unavailable over the last 3 years. Something needs to change before you invest money on him. Vincent Kompany. Manchester City captain Vincent Kompany seems as though he is on the upswing in terms of fitness. In the second half of last season he featured regularly. But only 25 appearances over 2 seasons means he cannot be relied upon. It would be a serious risk to buy him for your team until he proves his fitness more thoroughly. Danny Welbeck. Danny Welbeck has been heavily involved in Arsenal's pre-season tours around the world and even featured in the Community Shield final. But last season was a tough one for him as he played just 16 games in the league. With Alexandre Lacazette ahead of him in the pecking order, he could also find appearances hard to come by. While Daniel Sturridge is an excellent goalscorer, he is too much of an injury risk. Jack Wilshere at Bournemouth. He seemed to be on the way to a complete season for the first time in years. But the injury curse reared its ugly head towards the end of the campaign and he had to sit out the end of Bournemouth's season. Now back at Arsenal, he has had no pre-season action and there are a veritable smorgasbord of midfielders ahead of him in Arsene Wenger's thoughts. Seamus Coleman is an attacking fullback. Seamus Coleman is one of the more useful players you can have in your fantasy side. The only problem is that he suffered a horrific leg break towards the end of last season and will not be available again until the turn of the year. Even then, it might take a while before he is back up to full form. One for the second half of the season, potentially. Discipline problem players. Harry Arter, midfielder, spent his years in the lower leagues being considered a goal-scoring player. Those strikes have dried up somewhat in the top flight, but he still took a decent haul last season. The only problem is Harry Arter picked up 12 yellows and a red card in 201,617, a nightmare for any fantasy manager. Could be too tricky to keep in your team. Marwan Fellaini's habit of picking up yellow cards means he should not get a slot in your side. Marwan Fellaini can always be sure to pick up a goal or two over the course of a season courtesy of his excellent heading ability. But he also likes a bit of a challenge, picking up 9 yellow cards last season and a single red. That meant he was hit for 12 points over the course of the campaign. Not one to snap up. Diego Costa. Forget the fact that he seems about as likely to feature again at Chelsea as a young star who hasn't been resigned for £50 million. Diego Costa is a goalscorer and therefore picks up points by the bucketload. But he also has a discipline problem and lost 10 points last season for the 10 yellow cards he picked up. With his current want-away status also hanging over his head, not a player to sign. Marco Arnautovic. A benefit to signing Marco Arnautovic is that he is listed as a midfielder but tends to play in a more advanced role. And at West Ham he will be given chances. The problem is that he also attracts cards like someone celebrating their birthday. Arnautovic was shown 1 red and 9 yellows last season, not a good sign for the coming campaign. Marco Arnautovic was also booked with regularity last season and picked up a red card.